What's up everybody, Straligator here. If this is your first time here, welcome. In each episode, we're learning how to listen to different aspects of music by using deep listening. We're training our ears to pick apart a song to hear exactly what's happening and understand why we fell in love with it. We use the mixes of my songs so we can isolate those aspects to hear how they impact a song. So let's jump into today's topic, contrast. Contrast has three major aspects to it: rhythmic contrast, melodic contrast, and harmonic contrast. But we're going to try something a little different this time. Because of how important each one is, we're actually going to break it up into 3 episodes. That way we can dive into each one, learn how they're used, how they keep the listener engaged, and like dynamics, how they help create emotion in a song. And like always, at the end, I'm going to play the song in its entirety so you can hear everything in full context. So put on some headphones if you got them, and let's dive into the mix. Today we're going to start out with rhythmic contrast. So, what is it? This type of contrast is about creating different rhythmic ideas between sections and melodies. So, let's think about it in terms of the number of notes being played in the melody or the bar. We can have long-held legato notes, short choppy staccato notes, beats per minute, or even time signatures. It'll probably be easiest to think about drums when we're thinking about rhythm, because drums are basically the backbone of it. Rhythms help create the atmosphere, the attitude, and really drive the feeling of the song. So, for example, you could go from a dreamlike state to a wake you up state like this. Maybe you're thinking the dreamlike state wants less notes, slower rhythm, and more space. But that's not always the case. In the verse here, the guitars and drums are both playing a lot more notes and have a much more complex rhythmic idea than they do in the chorus. This is actually pretty common for songs where the verse might be a bit more complex and a bit more loose. And by loose, I mean they aren't playing the exact same rhythm together, they're each off playing on their own and doing their own thing. And choruses typically are more rhythmically locked, where all the instrumentation is playing a similar rhythm together. Let's get an idea of what that sounds like by taking a listen to the guitar melodies in each section on their own, and then with the drums. Of course, there's a lot more contrast in these sections than just the number of notes being played and how locked the instrumentation is, but let's just focus in on that for now. We can hear that the guitars and drums in the verse are off playing their own melodies and rhythms, but in contrast, the chorus, they're playing together and are actually supporting and leaving some rhythmic freedom for what the vocals will be doing. Now we know that the drums and guitars have different rhythmic ideas between the sections, from spacey and loose to tightly locked. So let's check out that transition one more time with everything back in it. We can also have contrasting melodies in the same section, so let's go to the start of the verse. We already know that the guitars and drums are doing a lot rhythmically, but to contrast that, the bass and vocal melodies are playing much less. This helps separate them, but while also adding to the atmosphere where everything's a little bit out there. First, let's focus on what the bass is doing in the mix. Now, I'll add the vocals along with the bass.
Fear me, brother. Fear what's outside.
Now, with everything back in,
Embrace for the coming days. But he's warning tonight.
These two are using longer held out notes while also taking more time and space between the notes and phrases, almost an exact opposite to the drums and guitars. But what about the vocal melodies between the verse and the chorus? Let's listen.
Neath the fallen skies, but don't forget the shifting light. Fear me and tear down, it's temporary.
Even though both have slow, held out notes, the biggest contrast is the space between the words. In the verse, the phrases are broken up with space, whereas the chorus, the words blend into the next, with little to no space. And just a side note, the third verse melody is actually completely different from the first two, but you'll have to go listen to the song to hear it. I'll put this out there for anyone who likes to count music and figure out time signatures. I highly recommend counting the song. And if you figure it out, let me know by writing it in the comments. Now, in your favorite songs, try to listen to what type of rhythmic contrast happens between sections or even in the same section. And I really hope you'll learn something new today. And if you liked the video, I would really appreciate a like and subscribe. But now, here's the song.